The following episode contains approximately 815 spoilers for all seasons and episodes of Lost. You have been warned. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever the fuck in the world you are. Welcome back to another episode of Lost the Plot, podcast led by two Irish lads talking absolute dick about ABC's hit show Lost. You know me, Ado, back from the dead after the summer and, well, from the last episode we recorded, which was only last week. But joining me is my beautiful host, you know me and love him, Dave.
Hello. Last week, he says it was. I mean, that makes it sound like there was more of a gulf. It was 2 days since we recorded our last episode.
Yeah. But the last episode was released a week ago.
Yeah.
To the listeners.
Right. Okay.
Who are both listening to this on whatever day they're listening to it. I think if I'm projecting into the future, that's like October 19th. It should be October 19th today.
Yeah, I believe so. October 19th. You are correct.
Hey, look
6
at
months after Bicycle Day.
Rain Man.
Shout out to any listeners listening to this in the year 2025. Shout out to the listeners listening to this in the year 2032. And a massive fuck you to the listeners listening to this in 2034. What are you even doing? The world is burning. Get back out there.
Why do you want him to get out there? The world is burning.
I don't know. Grab a bucket of water. Make yourself useful.
Stay inside. If the AC is still working, keep it on. The world is on fire, but that's why we're here. We're here to distract you from the impending slow march of the end of the world as it encroaches upon you and future generations. So yes, Welcome back to another episode of Lost the Plot. Dave, how you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, so far so good. I'm trying to keep myself in high spirits because, like every guy who lives with his partner who was away for the week, I stayed up until 4 o'clock this morning and I got 3 hours of sleep. So I am dying.
Nice. How have you been keeping yourself busy other than the obvious, wrist exercises?
I have been, what's the word I'm looking for? Holy shit, my brain cells are not working. Binging an old TV show that I've only recently gotten into.
So not alcohol.
No, not alcohol. Here's the thing. A lot of people don't get this about me, right? So I have so many friends around acquaintances, people I talk to occasionally, mates of mine, whatever, all from all around the world.
Yeah, I know where this is going. I know where this is going.
And I'm in all these friend groups, I'm the token Irish guy.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody says that, I must be a big drinker. I love my Guinness. And don't get me wrong, I do love Guinness. I mean, I was fucking drinking little brand Baileys on the last episode. So I do enjoy a drink, but I'm really not much of a drinker.
Here's the thing about being Irish, right? Because people assume that we drink, which is absolutely correct. You know what I mean? Some stereotypes exist for a reason, right? We are all a bunch of drunks. I hate when people assume that we're all good drinkers. Do you know what I mean? I've had to let people down so many times because they're like, Irish, I could drink you, like you could probably drink me under the table. And I'm like, nope, I concede immediately. Like, I'm not going to try that. I'm not a very good drinker. I enjoy drinking. I probably drink a little bit more than you, but not super often, not as much as a stereotype would suggest.
I literally go weeks without drinking. And actually, that's a really nice segue into a story that I have, if you would be so gracious to let me tell.
If I could really quickly cut across the segue. Well, I don't know. What quickly tell me what TV show you've been watching, and then you can get back on track because now I'm invested.
Oh yeah, ADHD brain. I forgot I was talking about that. I have been watching.
No. I cut you off, so and I just did it again. Go ahead.
I have been watching Suits.
Oh, damn. Okay, yeah. I watched a couple of episodes. I think I watched like 5 or 6 episodes of the first season. I was they used to film Suits right beside the hostel I stayed in Toronto. They film it all in Toronto, and I've walked by the set a couple of times. What do you think?
I really, really like it.
Mm-hmm.
That says nothing about how good I think the show is. I think it's it's okay. The seasons vary. Anybody listening who has watched Suits in the past, I am currently on, hang on, I'm on season 6, just about to start episode 13. I'm looking at my TV over there. I haven't paused
Oh
yet.
shit. You've started a while ago, right? You didn't watch 6 seasons in the space of like 4 days, did you?
No, I started about 3 weeks ago, I think.
Okay. Yeah.
Just slowly making my way through it. Season 1, I thought was really, really good. Season 2, I thought was really good. Not as good as season 1. Season 3, absolute dog muck. Season 4, better than season 3, but still not quite there.
You kept on trucking.
Season 5 is some of the best television I've seen in a long, long time.
Oh shit.
Really, really well written. And season 6 so far is pretty damn good. Pretty
Nice.
damn good.
Nice. We're also continuing the royal theme from last episode, talking about this because your girl Meghan Markle's in that shit for at least, I know she leaves at some point because the real life got in the way. But
right. Well, I mean, the show's cancelled now, so I don't know, did she leave during the show or after or whatever?
I think she did.
Don't
I think her character.
Fucking spoil shit for me.
Oh yeah, shit. Yeah, I forgot. You forget that behind the scenes is spoilers. I'm sorry.
But trust me, I mean, this is minor spoiler to anyone who hasn't seen it, but there is nothing more satisfying than watching an actress that you know is now a member of the British royal family hiking up her skirt in a library and taking it from behind. It is beautiful to see this on television.
I'm sure you could see Lizzie doing that somewhere as well.
All right, fine. I might have exaggerated a little bit. She takes it from the front, not from behind, but whatever. You know what I'm getting at here, right?
Okay, I'm going to get you back on track. From even though I was the one who took you off it, you mentioned about booze and you're gonna tell a story based on that.
So a couple of weeks ago, when was this? It was like last month or something like that. Me and my missus, we decided to go to America for about a week.
That's right. We mentioned this last episode, your first time stateside.
Yeah, and main big reason we wanted to go over was just that we have a lot of friends that live over in the United States. And we were like, you know what? Fuck it. We have the time. I had a shit ton of holiday days I needed to take from work, and they were pressuring me to take those days off because I don't take holidays. I just don't, right? I'm a home bird. I stay where I am. I have no interest in traveling or whatever, even to take time off.
Not even staycations.
I'm going to be honest, I don't have the money to go on fucking holidays. And if I'm just at home taking a week off just to take a break, like, I don't know what to do with myself.
Imagine how much suits you'd get in.
Right. So me and the missus decided, fuck, we'll go over to the States. We'll hit up the East Coast, visit a few friends, and, maybe do something while we're over there. And we ended up finding a concert, right? Just this local band over there. I don't even remember what they were called, but me, the missus, and a few friends went to this concert.
Did you mention where in the States you went?
Massachusetts.
Massachusetts, yeah, East Coast.
And this concert was in a little town in Massachusetts called Cambridge, right? Not to be confused with Cambridge in England. While we were staying in a town called Malden. If anybody's listening from there, I can hear you going, woo. But we ended up going to Cambridge, some small little bands that, our friends knew. And we were like, oh, fuck it, we'll tag along. It's something to do while we're there. And it was so weird because the pandemic has ended here in Ireland, essentially. All attitudes towards it are of great indifference.
Yeah, and man, I just came from Sweden where it never really existed in the first place. That shit was wild.
Yeah, quite famously. I remember the rest of the world being very critical of the Swedes and their attitudes toward COVID. But I mean, it's not exactly, it entirely worked over here. What was it you were saying before we started recording? The attitude of, you'd walk up to a restaurant, have to put on your mask before you go in. And then as soon as you sit down at your table, you take the mask off again. Like, wow, can't believe that didn't work.
Yeah. And somehow we got an Omicron variant and a Delta, and who the fuck else knows what else this winter.
So go to this concert and I want to get a drink. I'll go up to the bar and practice I'm not familiar with opening a bar tab. I'd never done this before.
Oh, right? Shit. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. This is new territory for you. There's a reason these don't exist in Ireland because of the, aforementioned stereotypes.
Well, I mean, you can do it in Ireland. It's just that nobody does.
It's not advised. Yeah. It's not encouraged.
But they took my card off me and held it behind the bar throughout the entire night. And I was like, no, give it back. Like, how dare you? Like, no, that's not how this works.
That's the weird thing about America in the first place, though. I think you mentioned this to me when we met up in Dublin a few weeks ago. This doesn't happen anywhere else except the United States, as far as I'm aware. You give them your card to pay and they just walk away with it. Everywhere else, you tap or you insert or you. In America, you got to sign some shit. People listening from the United States who haven't traveled, nowhere else does it like that. It's really jarring the first time it happens.
All right. Small mini segue from my big segue.
We thought we were going to have nothing to talk about. This is great.
No. Hang on. Let me finish, right? So I work in a job where I take payments from customers quite regularly. Irish people will always come up, debit card. They'll tap if it's under 50 euros, insert and do a pin on the machine if it's over 50 euros, right? Americans come up, just stick the card in, then pull it out, and then they have to sign the little card receipt. Anyone could fucking sign that. That is shit security. How does one of the world's greatest economies fucking run on this shit? I don't get it. So they can just leave their card behind the bar, and barman just swipes and swipes and swipes. And then what? Like, you're at the end of the night, 10 beers fucking in, and you're meant to look over this list of charges and go, yeah, I had all of them and all of that. Like, literally anyone's fucking drinks could be on that, as long as they know the name on the tab. That's all. Like, that's all someone needs to put a drink on a tab. Like, they just need to know the name on the card. Or you can give your tab a name. You can give your tab a name. I saw people doing that, right?
Something like Spot or Lucky or Fluffy or something, right?
A friend of mine called their tab popcorn.
Nice. There you go.
So this concert's going on. I go up to the bar. I'm trying to talk to the barman over the music and shit. And I'm like, I don't know any of these beers and I'm foreign. Can you recommend something? And he said, oh, hold on. This is actually like a really wild thing as well that I'd never seen before. All of the bars here, I mean, like the bar itself, all the taps, they look the exact same. They might just have a different picture on them to tell you what beer is coming from what tap. Over there, I don't know if it's just in this bar or if it's a regular thing. Who am I kidding? I went to several fucking bars when I was over there. It was the same everywhere. But all of the taps themselves are like highly decorated, with the beer to represent like the beer's logo or iconography or whatever. But he taps this red and white stripy kind of barber pole looking one with a big pair of floppy shoes on top of it, and he says, "This one's my favorite one, and it's called Clown Shoes." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, then I'll take a pint of clown shoes." And he serves me a pint of clown shoes in a plastic cup. It's a concert. I'm like, okay, fine, whatever, plastic cup. As long as the beer is still the same. And I continue to enjoy my night drinking pints of clown shoes. Now, here's where things get spotty, right? I'm not that much of a drinker, but I am an experienced one. Mm-hmm. I'm Irish. It's in my blood. It's an ethnic thing, right?
We've been to university. I've seen you in action. Yeah, I can tell you were much of a drinker back then, but then I guess we all were.
Do you not remember that time I drank a whole bottle of Buckfast before we went out to the pub, and then we ended up not going out to the pub and we watched a movie, and I'm sitting there holding onto the table, trying not to fall off the edge of the world. Well, you're all like, none of y'all are drinking. You're all like, oh, we just decided not to go out tonight, and I'm like, bottle of Bucky in.
Yeah. Wish you had told me that. There was also that time where you got really drunk, passed out, and slept through like a fire alarm that went off for maybe 15 or 20 minutes.
Shut that down. That story is like a whole 20 minutes itself. Did we not tell that in season 1 at some point?
We might have mentioned it. This is going to start happening where we like retread our old stories. Okay, again, we promised we wouldn't get off track. That's content for next episode. Continue.
There we go. So this is what I'm saying. I'm an experienced drinker. I know my limits. I know how much to drink. I know how much time to have between drinks. I know how quickly to drink my pint. I know how much to eat before I go out drinking. I know how much time to leave between eating and drinking so that I do not get sick. I've been sick quite a fucking lot in my time from drinking. I know how to prevent it. I get 3 pints in, and all of a sudden I'm there again. I'm there. And by there, I mean that state of mind where I'm trying not to fall into the sky while I'm sitting on a chair. The world is spinning at high fucking velocity. I'm 3 pints in, and I'm like, what is going on? Have I just not like drunk a few pints in a long ass time? Did I not eat enough? I stumble out of the venue and I get talking to people, and they just think I'm like this really funny, comical leprechaun Irish guy, or at least that's how I was in my head, right? They just thought I was a fucking mess, I'm sure. So then I go and I'm like, okay, hold on, you guys just like hold that thought for a minute. I'm just gonna like, I'll just empty myself for a sec. Okay, I'll just be like right back. And I go to like throw up around a corner, and everyone's like, no man, you can't do that, there's like a cop there, he's gonna arrest you. I don't know whether from California all of a sudden, but you know what I mean. But And no, it's
There's
fine.
a fucking cap.
I'm like, no, it's fine. It's fine. Oh yeah, we were not that far from Boston. Like a lot of the accents were like this. No, it's fine. So I end up getting sick on my fucking shoes, and then I bump into another guy.
Who's wearing the clown shoes now, huh?
It was entirely me. No, I was the one wearing clown makeup. And then I get into this talk about fucking religious pilgrimages and shit like that, and I'm practically shouting in his face with vomit breath. But eventually I do sober up enough to go home and get a good night's sleep. So this remained a mystery to me how the fuck I got that drunk. And you can probably guess like what the one factor I did not take into account was.
The alcohol percentage.
Correct. So I went and Googled the exact drink I was drinking that night. And now, avid listeners of the show, both of you will remember what my favorite beer of choice is, right? It's a particular beverage by the name of Dutch Gold, which if you were to buy it in a store here in Ireland today, because it cannot be purchased anywhere else in the world, it is 3.5%. Okay. This particular beverage I was drinking, Clown Shoes, I forget the exact percentage, but it was over 9. So 3 pints of this shit was the equivalent of about 2 3/4 times the amount of Dutch Gold I would normally have. That is why I got so fucking sick. Alas, I knew what I was doing. I had the vitamins. Sorry, translate for the Americans. I had my vitamins and no hangover the next day. It was beautiful. It was glorious.
I'm looking at this Clown Shoe stuff on Google image search. It looks good. They have lots of different types of it. Like they've got an IPA, they've got a stout, it looks like. They've got an ale. It looks tasty. Did you remember which one you had?
I'm pretty sure it was an IPA.
Okay.
Pretty confident, even though I fucking hate IPAs.
Yeah, I was gonna say do you hate
I
your
walked
taste
by a
buds?
billboard not that long ago. It was like earlier this year, last year, whatever. I walked by a billboard for a particular drink. Listeners will probably know which one by the slogan, but it said more hops, more flavor. And I'm like, no, that's not how that works. That is not how that works. More hops does not equal more flavor. More hops equals more hop flavor.
Yeah.
Which is not a good thing.
Quick little thing on that, just so I can contribute. There is a supermarket in Sweden called, when I first saw it, it was the capital letters ICA. I would call it ICA. And everyone was like, no. It's called ICA.
ICA.
And then one day, jokingly to a Swede, I said, do you call IPAs IPAs? And the Swede, very straight face, said, yes, we do. They call them IPAs over there.
No wonder they never became an empire. Swedes. No wonder the Vasa sank.
Ooh, shots fired.
No, shots were not fired. It sank. The whole reason it sank is because King of Sweden loaded too many fucking cannons onto it. So no shots fired. I know my history.
Is that confirmed? Because the Vasa Museum they failed to mention that, or else I wasn't listening. But they seem to paint it like it was this big mystery how it sank. And now it makes sense that it was just Swedish incompetence and they just didn't want to talk about it.
No. So my historical knowledge on this is spotty at best. The ship was never meant to be a gunship, but I think like the King of Sweden at the time was starting to feel a bit outmatched by his neighbors or rivals or whatever. And he was like, no. Like, we need more gunships. We need to convert this new big ship into an actual gunship, build more decking onto it, load it with a fuck ton of cannons. But the boat had already been fucking built at this time. So it had been converted in ways that it wasn't designed to be converted. So that when they sent it out to sail, it immediately capsized.
Yeah. It got 1,300 meters. I'm reading here before it sank.
Yeah, if anybody wants to correct me instead of Dave on his little fucking Wikipedia page right now, lostplotlads@gmail.com. Get in touch. Let me know.
Yeah, what am I doing? What am I doing with this live fact checking? We got a guy for that. Shout out to Ryan. Hope you're doing well.
Yeah, where's your guy? Where's Ryan? Ryan, fact check me on this shit.
I miss you, buddy. I hope you're doing well.
You're still not getting paid.
Well, man, speaking of fucking ships, do you want to get into the episode?
That was where I was hoping you'd take this, buddy.
God damn, you're your host. I feel like I stole the segue out from under you there. My apologies.
So yes, with all this talk of ships, let's hop back on our boat and sail right.
Whoa! Back to the island.
So yes, season 2, episode 2, Adrift, written by Leonard Dick and Stephen Maida.
Stephen Maida. Okay, we've had Lenny Dick before. Stephen Maida's new, right?
Yes. Stephen Maeda. I'm not even 100% sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Is it Maeda? I'm just going to go with Maeda. If anybody wants to correct me, lostthepotlads@gmail.com. Please feel free. Go ahead. Plug.
Send us a voice note.
Yes, we love playing voice notes on the show. Yes, Stephen Maeda. This is his first writing credit on Lost. He only came in at the beginning of season 2. He's written 4 episodes in total. And this is the first one, Adrift, along with Lenny Dick, who we have indeed had before on In Translation and The Greater Good.
The Greater Good. Nice. Lenny Dick, great name. One of the Hall of Fame Lost names. Interestingly, Adrift, that title, was also the title of the second episode of Rings of Power, the Lord of the Rings show that's 3 episodes in at the time of recording.
I have not been paying attention to the episode titles for that, and I'm also forbidden from watching any of that until my girlfriend returns home from her sojourn in France. So
You have seen the first 2 episodes though, right?
I have.
Yeah.
It's very good.
Yeah, I like it. Adrift is the name of the second episode because minor spoilers, it's the second episode, but Galadriel's boat, she's adrift in the sea after very similar fucking to this episode of Lost.
Hold on. I'm gonna stop you there. Galadriel.
Yeah, isn't that how they pronounce it? I would have said Galadriel,
which is how everyone pronounces it.
But in the show they say Galadriel. I swear to God.
Okay, I've got 2 things to say to that. One, anyone can pronounce it that way if they want. They're wrong. And secondly, we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about Lost. Okay?
We almost had a show about that.
Oh, too soon, man. Too soon. Way too soon. But those are the writers. This episode was directed by one Stephen Williams, who we have seen before in Lost. We have seen. He directed one of the best episodes of season 1. All the best cowboys have daddy issues. Also, one of the best fucking titles.
Yeah, I was going to say, certainly the best title. Yeah, that was a good one. Stephen Williams, he's back.
Back with a plan. I don't know. I felt like I had something wittier to say to that, but apparently not.
What do you think of the title? Any thoughts? Adrift? No double meaning, I guess. They're pretty much just adrift.
No, double meaning. Absolutely double meaning. Adrift in terms of like physically actually being adrift on the ocean, and adrift as in mentally not really having an anchor, There's no home base. There's nowhere to feel safe. You're just left adrift in the universe and the cosmos of your own mind. I'm not really entirely sure how that's relevant, but I'm sure we'll find meaning along the way.
I also heard the producers had a little argument about what company should sponsor this episode. It was an Adrift.
I'm not dignifying that with a response. Because while you were setting that up, I was thinking, oh shit, did I miss this in my research? Wait, hold on a second. I don't remember this in the Griot Marchois document. Something like that would have been mentioned. So this episode aired on September 28th of 2005.
The day after your 15th birthday, I believe.
The day after my 15th birthday. And you know what the funny thing is? I don't remember being 15 years old.
Really?
No, not even a little bit. I remember when I was 14. I remember when I was 16. I don't remember 15 at all.
15 was like a formative year for me. I remember a lot of shit about that year.
Nothing happened to me until I hit 16. Everything happened when I hit 16. Everything. Had my first drink, first girlfriend. That was the age where me and my mates would go out and just do random crazy shit around town or take the train up to Dublin and, I don't know, get up to shenanigans up there.
Yeah, that was 15 for me. Exact same list of things, but just, I guess, a year earlier.
What can I say? I was always a late bloomer. So yeah, this episode aired, what was it? What did I just say? September 28th, 2005?
Correct, Mundo.
Yeah, I said we just get into it. What happens in this fucking episode? So,
well, we get a classic line of dialogue to open it. Well, I say line of dialogue. It's more of a scream of someone's name.
We have a brand new catchphrase in the show. We have a brand new catchphrase. It was teased in season 1 of Lost. It was teased, but now it is coming into full effect with the opening, gently delivered line of Walt! Walt! We open up with the screamings of Walt. But hold on, before we get into that, we've got the previously on Lost. We're caught up on Jin, Sawyer, Michael, Walt. They're setting sail on their little raft. We see them finding another boat, being attacked by the non-Somali pirates, and Walt getting captured, basically. Also, in the previously on Lost, we see Johnny Locke and the boys blowing open the hatch, a reminder that, there's someone in there as well. John, Kate, and Jack's expedition to the hatch, and Jack telling the other survivors that they wouldn't split up.
When you said non-Somali pirates there, I thought you were going to say like the nonce pirates. Like, oh boy, Walt's in a lot more trouble than we thought.
I think I'm missing a joke here. Nonce pirates? What?
Okay, thank you. So this wasn't just me then. I hung out with a lot of British people over the last year when I lived in Sweden. Nonce is a word they say a lot. I only found out, like, hanging out with them, that a nonce specifically means a pedophile.
Whoa!
I thought it was like a Nancy boy or something. Do you know what I mean? But a nonce is a pedo.
I thought nonce was like synonymous with twat or
yeah, me too. Me too. No, it means pedo. So these are the nonce pirates.
Go. So that's our previously on Lost, ending with Jack telling and promising the rest of the crew, the rest of the survivors at the caves, that they wouldn't split up. Although we find out that that's an absolute fucking lie, because obviously John and Kate fuck off to the hatch, and then Jack ends up breaking his word and follows them anyway. So the episode opens up in the ocean. The raft is in fucking bits after being attacked by the pirates. We're just calling them pirates.
Yeah, or nonce pirates.
I'd rather not call them nonce pirates if it's all the same with you. Although can we call them the others yet? Like, we know with the future of hindsight.
Yeah, well, I mean, not to jump ahead too much, but Mike and Sawyer do sort of deduce that.
Yeah, later on in the episode, they do. Well, Sawyer comes up with it. Sawyer strategically puts two and two together. Mm-hmm. So the raft is in fucking bits. Michael finds his new catchphrase, and Sawyer leaps into hero mode to save Michael, who has every brain cell currently focused on yelling Walt instead of surviving, because he's just treading water and he's not trying to, find anything floating. He's just being an absolute idiot, just screaming Walt while he's sinking in the middle of the fucking ocean. Evidenced by passing the fuck out the moment Sawyer gets him on some driftwood. That's all he was focusing his energy on. That is our opening scene. We cut back to the hatch, and it's revealed that this episode is going to be super annoying by starting halfway into the first episode and retreading old ground. So this scene, we see that Locke has just witnessed Kate disappear into the hatch, and there's no response from her. She's been taken by something, or something has happened to her. So he does the only logical thing and practically fucking swan dives in after her. Almost. Like, the only way he could have hurried into that hole any quicker was if he had actually fucking swan dived.
Well, we know how determined he is.
He doesn't give a fuck. There's nothing stopping Johnny Locke from getting in that hole. But considering the last episode ended with, Jack and Locke already in the hole and being held at gunpoint, I feel like we can safely skip over this shit, right?
Hell yeah.
So that brings us to the Lost screen. Lost. And we come back to the middle of the fucking ocean. We've got Sawyer. He's taken out some of his anger and frustration on Michael's chest by beating the ever-loving shit out of him.
What is with these Lost people? Was that, like, considered correct CPR at one point, and we've just gone way, like, far away from that? No. They love to beat the shit out of someone's chest. Jack did it with Charlie as well.
Yeah, this is pure Hollywood fantasy right here. It's like, God damn it, don't you die on me. The don't you die on me trope is what I'm going to call it, right? Like, he's not even just, like, hitting Michael's chest. Like, he's full on. Like, you'd swear he's actually trying to hurt him or kill him.
No way Mike doesn't have a couple of broken ribs after that.
Oh, without a doubt. Cracked sternum, I'd say, at the very least. When that doesn't work, he actually gives him, the kiss of life. And this actually brings Michael back from the dead, seemingly.
Oh, he's back.
Kiss of life brings Michael back to life, and this brings us into our first flashback of the episode.
Yeah, Mike goes from Sawyer to lawyer.
Oh, I love it. Better call
this guy.
Yeah, whoever the fuck this guy is. We see Michael talking to a lawyer. The lawyer gives him the bad news that Susan wants Michael to sign Walt away and give up all paternal rights to the boy. Michael wants to do literally anything and everything to keep him, no matter the cost. That is this scene in a nutshell. What do we think of this scene?
Yeah, I mean, I for a sec I was like, didn't Susan tell him this in the hospital? That, like, why is he acting so surprised? But then I guess he just didn't know that he had to give up his paternal rights, basically. He thought it was a little more. Like, she did say that, remember, she told him that Brian wants to adopt him?
Yes. So this is the natural progression of the hospital scene. In the hospital scene, I believe she's telling Michael that she's going to go away to Europe and she is going to bring the boy. Whereas now we find out not only is she taking the boy away, she wants Michael to give up all of his paternal rights. Like, not only does she want to adopt him, or does she want her new boy toy to adopt the boy, but in order for that to happen, Michael has to give up his rights as a dad. And as the lawyer kind of cruelly but truthfully phrases it, the boy will legally be no different to Michael after that than any kid on the street.
Yeah. And this lawyer really doesn't sell himself. He's like, dude, if I'm all you can afford, I don't like your chances. Essentially.
He's giving it to him straight.
Yeah.
In fairness, he's not giving him false hope, which we discussed hope and false hope in the last episode.
True. Yeah. That's I guess a continuing theme a little bit. But yeah, now the lawyer himself makes a David and Goliath comparison, but Mike is fucking all in. He doesn't give a shit.
So anyway, we cut from that and we're back in the middle of the ocean. Michael is still yelling for Walt, and my God, it is already tiring. This is...
Get used to it, folks.
Holy shit. Just the constant Walt! 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 Like, if me doing it is annoying, season 2 of Lost, it doesn't get any fucking better with this dude. Sawyer tries to get him to shut the fuck up, and Michael politely declines.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, Sawyer's like, oh, you gotta save your energy. And I'm like, he's really not exerting himself that much. Like, you just want him to shut the fuck up.
I want him to shut the fuck up. Like, Sawyer is the voice of the audience here. But Michael's argument is that he wants Walt to still hear that his daddy is alive and that he's coming for him and he's not going to stop looking for him. And this is all seemingly communicated in the one word, Walt.
Although he does kind of explain it to Sawyer, and that, like, Harold Perrineau's got this desperate determination in his voice. It's his he's a good actor, that dude.
Oh, Perrineau could sell it, you know? I mean, even I nearly believed it if it wasn't for the fact that he's so fucking annoying. So we cut from that scene. We're back at the hatch. Johnny Boy lands on sub terra firma after descending down the shaft. I hate saying shaft. I hate saying shaft.
Sub terra firma, though. Now, there's a word.
Well, terra firma is a phrase. It's an expression to put your feet on solid ground, terra firma. And now he's underground. I'm saying sub terra firma. Huh?
Very nice.
Huh?
Very
Thank
nice.
you. I felt pretty clever when I thought of that.
Look at you constructing Latin.
So Johnny lands at the bottom of the shaft. He finds the tunnel leading away from it, and he does himself a little exploring. And the shoes of dramatic seduction that we saw in the last episode, we discover now they are revealed to be John's.
Oh, massive reveal here. Mystery fucking solved. Were we supposed to know they were John Locke's shoes last episode? I guess
I don't
not,
think so.
But I never would have thought of those shoes again. Anyway, it's not unnecessary, I guess. But
right, but in the last episode, we see Jack heading down here, and he's exploring all the weird shit, like the mural on the wall, the magnetic area, random shoes on the ground. Like, he's just looking at stuff, and we, the audience, are like, shoes. I wonder what theories can we concoct out of this. No, it's just John being polite, walking into someone else's dank tunnel. Take your shoes off at the door.
It's just John being from any other nation on earth apart from Ireland. Did you notice that we're the only country where you don't take off your shoes in the house?
Right.
It seems weird to me now because I've lived away for so long in two different countries where it's like fucking considered, an insult to your host, like a slap in the face if you don't take your shoes off.
Anybody who knows me knows that I don't really keep it much of a secret that I am what the kids are today calling neurodivergent, right? Years ago, I was diagnosed as being on the autism spectrum, and one little peculiar habit of mine I'm linking to being on the autism spectrum, and that is my relationship with my shoes.
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds weird when I say it out loud, but it feels so right to me inside, right? I cannot do certain things unless I am wearing my shoes.
Interesting. Examples.
Operating a faucet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, I can turn a tap on and off if I'm barefoot or whatever. I mean, I have to do it if I get out of the shower or whatever. But I can't wash the dishes, for example, because I don't have a dishwasher at the moment. She's in France. I don't have a dishwasher. So if I want to wash the dishes, I cannot do it unless I'm wearing my shoes.
Interesting. Will a pair of slippers do?
No. I don't wear slippers. I can't wear slippers.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of slippers. I sweat in them. because I'm always barefoot in them.
But you see, at least you can give a reason why you can't. I can't give a reason why I don't wear slippers. It's kind of like the reason I don't wear, I don't know, a bra. Although you can even give a functional reason for that. I don't need one. Although as time goes on, that's starting to change. But no. If I'm going to be doing something like washing the dishes, I need to wear my shoes, right?
Mhm.
So for me, taking my shoes off when I come in the house, it's restricting me from being able to do quite a lot of things because comfortably, mentally, I can't do certain things unless I'm wearing my shoes. Vacuum cleaning is another one. Need to be wearing my shoes from a lot of household chores. I can't do any household chores unless I'm wearing my shoes, right?
Very interesting. Brains are fucking fascinating, eh?
And apparently, this is something that's been linked to people with ADHD, right? As soon as we take off our shoes, it's like a mental signal that tells us our day of responsibility is done and we are like the responsible side of our brain is shutting down and we're just chilling out, relaxing on the couch, and we ain't gonna do shit after that.
That is super fucking interesting.
Yeah, so to read stuff like this on the internet, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, that's me.
Yeah. Once again, to quote the kids, you feel so seen. But here, let me ask you this. There's a couple of things you can't do without your shoes on. Could you explore a fucking hatch?
The ground is visibly wet.
Yeah.
Therefore, have to wear the shoes.
Yeah, me too. I don't think you need to be autistic to not want to get your socks wet.
Right. So I don't know where we're going with that, but John takes off his shoes as he is dangerously exploring this mystery tunnel underground, right? He finds some tech shit and massive reveal. We see the octagonal logo that says Dharma.
This is the first, what I'm going to call the first lingering reveal of it, because it was on the vials of medicine in the opening of the last episode.
Oh shit! I did not notice that because that was that. Come on now, back me up. That was blink and you miss it, right?
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I the only reason I noticed is because I paused on that to read what was on the medicine. And it said RX1, and I saw the Dharma logo. But yeah, no, this is the first lingering reveal of it. And I don't even think it said Dharma on the medicine. I think it just had the logo with, like a blank one.
So we see the Dharma logo with an image in the middle, very clearly a swan. And we do find out why that is later in the show. I'm not even sure if it's this season. Is it?
It is, yeah. I think it might be next episode, in fact.
So with the power of hindsight, we know that the image of the swan is there because this particular hatch, this whole bunker, is called the Swan Station, according to the Dharma Initiative. Who are they? We will get into them when they become more prevalent in the show. But that's all we need to know for the moment. Or do we even need to know it? Whatever. You know it now, so let's move the fuck on, all right? So Johnny Boy does a little bit more exploring. He finds the window in this 70s San Francisco apartment. And it's revealed that there's just a really big, strong light behind it that simulates sunlight. He finds Kate. And as soon as he finds Kate, as she's, coming to, she's a little bit knocked out on the ground, he's immediately held at gunpoint by the man who we now know as Desmond, who asks the very mysterious question, "Are you him?
Are you him? Are you the philosopher, John Locke?"
So yeah, held at gunpoint, and we move from that back to the middle of the ocean. Sawyer is now joining in the yelling, but he's actually yelling for gin.
I had written down, it's Sawyer's turn to waste energy now, and then Michael actually calls him out on it. He's like, I thought we were supposed to conserve energy.
Yeah. So to sum up this scene, Michael and Sawyer start pointing fingers about whose fault it is that they're in this situation.
Yeah, the blame game has begun.
Well, I mean, they've got fuck all else to do here out in the ocean, so yeah. They start pointing the fingers before they are suddenly bumped by something underneath them. Sawyer pulls out his gun, his new best friend, according to Michael, and Michael claims that the gun's not even going to work because the bullets are wet. And just to prove him wrong, Sawyer takes out the bullets to reveal they are dry before they're bumped again, and he knocks the bullets into the fucking ocean. Laurel and Hardy couldn't have written this shit.
Yeah. Well, first of all, the thing bumps the raft because it obviously wants them both to shut the fuck up in the middle of the argument. But yeah, I was thinking, like, it is pretty impressive that Sawyer managed to hold on to the gun. And I was giving him props in my head, and then he fucking goes and drops all the bullets in. Never mind.
So they reckon that it's a shark in the water, and Michael is still pissed at Sawyer, claiming that his bleeding shoulder is keeping the sharks nearby. So Sawyer very helpfully offers to just stop bleeding. Sawyer is not so fond of Michael. He gets his own driftwood. with blackjack and hookers.
This is classic, like, like he swims in shark-infested waters with an open wound just so he can petulantly go, "This is the line, and you're not allowed to cross it."
Yeah. Like it's so funny. Like, this is the way that children argue.
Yeah.
But it's not just a child thing. It's a person thing. It's a human thing. It's just we resist the urge to argue this way, to act like this in an argument when we're adults, because we see it as being a child thing. It's just that children are more in touch with the animal instinct to do that, right? So it's so funny to see them properly devolve Lord of the Flies style into something like this.
You can understand as well why, because not only is the situation itself shitty, but even if none of that shit had happened to them, like Walt getting kidnapped, they're just fucking soaking wet, probably cold, no sleep.
100%. It's going to mentally wear them down completely. So yeah, I can totally kind of forgive them for, not acting like adults in a situation like this and talking it out as they should.
Now, quick philosophical question for you here. Michael tells Sawyer to get off my raft. He goes to another piece of the raft. We have a ship of Theseus situation here. Is it the same raft?
Ooh.
That was meant more rhetorically. You don't actually have to answer that if you don't want to.
Good, because I didn't want to. So we move on from that. We're in a flashback. I'm going to sum it up in 2 sentences. Negotiation. It's a legal negotiation between Michael and his lawyer and Susan and her lawyer, and it doesn't go well for Michael.
Yeah, you can say that again. The way this lady is acting here is the reason why people hate lawyers. Like, she's got this self-satisfied look on her face and like this mocking smile, which is the cherry on top. And I mean, she's obviously good at her job, but she's really great at playing bitch. You can tell that she's doing this intentionally, and she knows she's doing it well.
Absolutely, because her goal here is to represent her client, and the aim of her client is to get Michael to sign off on handing over Walt, to get rid of his paternal rights. And the way she's going about that is to prove that Michael is not a good dad. So she starts asking him questions like, do you know what his favorite food is? Do you know who his best friends are? Questions like this that he couldn't possibly know the answer to. But the questions are also kind of bullshit as well, because she asked, like, where have you been the last number of years for him? And he's like, motherfucker, she took him to Europe. Like, where the fuck am I supposed to be? I'm on disability. Like, I can't go anywhere.
And yet she plays him off as this, well, if you wanted him so bad, you should have tried harder. It's lousy. She sounds like she's playing to a jury here, which I was wondering about. But then I guess it's kind of what she's doing is showing how she would play to a jury were to go to court. It's like a shot across the bow. There's a similar scene in the final episode of Better Call Saul, actually. I don't know if you remember.
I have not seen it. I haven't seen the last 2 seasons of Better Call Saul.
Oh, shit, get on it, son. Masterpiece.
Yeah, no, there's a guy in work that keeps telling me, like, just how good it is, how much better it is than the rest of the show, which is so relieving to me, because I've been kind of on the fence about Better Call Saul up until the point that I've watched it.
Really? I thought it was gold from day one. I liked the whole thing.
Well, here's the thing. I have so much reverence for Breaking Bad and how much of a masterpiece that was, that I felt for Better Call Saul to come in and add to that narrative with a different tone, I felt like it was diluting the waters of Breaking Bad a little bit. Do you get what I mean? Diluting the integrity.
You will not feel like that at the end. It is, I mean, like I said, I thought it was front to back amazing, but it really only adds to the universe by the end. They need to not touch it again, and I really hope they don't. But they've wrapped up that universe perfectly, I think.
So yeah, legal negotiation about Walt. It ain't going too well. Michael's looking really bad in it, but all is not lost just yet. Emphasis on yet. We cut from that back to the ocean. Sawyer and Michael keep drifting so close to each other. They wanted to get separated, and yet the bamboo they're on, it's just sticking together, right?
And as if things weren't bad enough already, there's a full moon, so now they have to worry about werewolves as well.
Oh no, merewolves.
Oh my god, has anyone ever thought of that before? Fucking copyright that shit.
Write that down.
Write it down.
So it's revealed that Sawyer has a bullet still lodged in his arm. So what he does is, against Michael's advice, is he takes 2 fingers and attempts to recreate his prom night conquest with his arm and fishes out the bullet.
Damn. So yeah, the bickering, like, and them drifting towards each other, it had crossed into comic relief because they got caught in the same current, and you're starting to think this is funny until he fucking digs for that bullet. That shit was fucking hard to watch. The practical effects were amazing. Like, it really did look like he was digging around in there. Yeah. Oh, I was like, I'm pretty desensitized to like gore and TV violence and stuff, and that made me like that shit sent a shiver up my spine. That was
really
rough.
I didn't think it was that bad.
Really, nah. For some reason, that got me. Just the idea of like, ugh, I don't know.
Oh, then again, I've rewatched all 3 seasons of Hannibal a few times, so I'm pretty desensitized to standard TV gore. You ever watch that show?
I haven't seen it yet. No,
quite gory.
I'm almost finished. I'm making my way through Killing Eve, and there's a lot of psychopathic killings in that, and
nice.
It doesn't faze me at all. But for some reason, this got me.
What kind of fucked up generation are we that you say there's all kind of psychopathic killings in it? And I'm like, oh, nice. This is the world we live in. I'm like, okay. So yeah, the only real big thing we get out of that is just, I don't know, there was a bullet in Sawyer's arm, and he's willing to fish around in there without pain medication to get it out. And then he turns to Michael and says, "You got a Band-Aid."
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
Can I just say that he showed Mike what the fuck's up, because Michael said you're not going to be able to get that bullet out on your own. And then he proceeds to get the bullet out on his own.
Yeah, but here's what's really going to cook your noodle. If Michael hadn't said that, would Sawyer have been able to get the bullet out? Or did he do it out of spite?
Shit. Yeah, so Mike with the assist after all.
Yeah, unwitting assist. There we go. We cut from that to the hatch. John responds to the "Are you him?" question with yes.
Because of course he does.
Yeah, but here's the thing. At first I thought this was John just trying to say whatever he can to survive. You know, he's literally looking down the barrel of a gun. But now I look back at it, I think John sees himself as the central character to this big cosmic plan that he thinks, yes, I don't know who he is, but I am him.
Yeah. He's on his destiny shit here for sure. I that was the first thing that came to my head. I was like, he doesn't like think he's the person. He knows he's the guy.
Yeah, but to immediately pull the rug out from under him to test whether or not John is him, Desmond asks him, "What did one snowman say to the other?" And yeah, John has nothing else to say to that except, "I have no idea what you're talking about." So yeah, Desmond obviously calls him out on his bluff and says, "No, you are not fucking him," and continues to keep him at gunpoint and starts marching him around bunker area or whatever. John explains to him that, you know, he was part of a flight population. He was on a plane. He was on a plane that crash landed on the island exactly 44 days ago. And this seems to hold a certain amount of significance for Desmond, but, you know, he keeps his poker face on pretty well, keeping, you know, Locke at gunpoint, keeping, you know, the scary, angry, intimidating face on him.
I did notice the temporary slip, but it did, yeah. I have a couple of questions about it, but I think we'll maybe get to it in a later episode.
Yeah. So while this is all happening, Desmond then orders Kate to tie up John.
Yeah, he tries to force a sub kink onto Locke, but Locke confirms that he's a dom.
By very helpfully pointing out that, no, I'm not the dangerous one. She's a fugitive. And the absolute look, the stink eye she gives him. Like, we get out of this live, I'm killing you, right? You know this. And at first, I was watching this and I was thinking, you know, I reckon that this is actually so John can tie her up. You know, we know he's handy with rope and crafts and shit. If he's the one that ties her up, he can tie her up in such a way that it looks convincing, but she can slip out of it really easily. Yeah. Right? This is where my mind was going.
She listens for a sec. She's like, "Is there a bus up there?" And John's like, "What?" And she's like, "Cause you just fucking threw me under it."
I like it. I mean, sure, but John could have literally said anything to convince Desmond to be the one to tie her up. But, you know, Desmond's even asking like who you are. And he says he's like the regional collections operative for a cardboard company, namely Boxes. He's like, "All right, Boxman."
Yeah. He earns himself the nickname Boxman. Love it. And Desmond uses it a couple more times in this episode at least.
I was afraid it was going to go underused, but I love it. Boxman.
It sounds so great in a Scottish accent as well. "All right, Boxman."
Boxman. Perfect. So yeah, Locke ends up tying up Kate. We cut from this to the caves. Jack is gathering his gear to go after him, and Hurley's basically like, what? We're still in the events of episode 1, but we are seeing more content around it.
We're retreading.
Yeah, so with all of these shots, all of these scenes that really and truly they should have been in episode 1, it goes to show just how quickly episode 1 wanted to get to, survivors down in the hatch, and reveal of Desmond. It really wanted to show us that. And now it's like, okay, we rushed things a little bit. Let's back up and go through it at a good pace, okay? But we cut from that to Charlie, who we didn't see at all in the last episode, along with Claire, who we also didn't see, and baby Aaron. You get the picture. Claire, while shooting the shit with Charlie, he's trying to be funny. He's not really funny. But while they're, having a little bit of a chinwag, Claire finds a statue of the Virgin Mary in Charlie's backpack, which we know contains the bowled China White.
Let me just quickly say that Claire calls Charlie out for deflecting with humor, and that makes me feel called out too. Classic thing that I do. I like his banter here. Like, she goes, "You always try to be funny," and he goes, "Try to be funny," and that fucking gets a laugh out of her. And you're like, "Hey."
Real fuzzy. Yeah, but hang on. This is where I feel like we need to talk about the hit 90s comedy sitcom Friends. This is where we need to talk about that, because people would not be able to identify from a psychological point of view when someone is deflecting with humor if it wasn't for the public service that Friends gave to us with the character of Chandler and demonstrating how he does that in Friends.
You think he invented it?
No, I don't think he invented it, but I think the popularity of Friends and the reach that it had educated people on how
he brought it into the mainstream.
Exactly. So now the general populace can identify when somebody is deflecting with humor thanks to Chandler and Friends.
Could he be any more deflective?
Hey!
But Claire has no idea, like, just what a bad deal. You see her here, and Charlie's quickly like, "Oh yeah, give me that. Take Aaron. Give me the statue." She has no idea how.
Careful with it.
Yeah. Well, she doesn't know how badly she just got fucked, because she just traded some perfectly good heroin for a baby.
You wouldn't see Clapton making that mistake.
Nice. If you know, you know.
So yeah, Claire seems to think that Charlie is super religious with how much he wants Claire to be careful with this Virgin Mary statue. Like, "Oh, be careful with it. Don't drop it. Here, give it to me. Give it to me. You take the baby. I'll take the Virgin Mary." And she's like, I didn't know you were so religious. And he gives the kind of weird answer of, he's not really religious, but you never know when it's going to come in handy.
Yeah, it's a terrible, like, such a bad cover up. He's lucky that Claire would have absolutely no reason to think that there was something dodgy about the statue, because that was a shit lie.
Completely. And we've seen it in season 1 as well. Charlie has a really shit poker face. He doesn't know when to. He doesn't know how to keep the secret. He's really bad at this kind of shit. But so we cut from that. We're in the ocean again. We're spending a lot of time in the ocean.
Yeah, these wide shots of Michael and Sawyer on the water are pretty funny. I don't know why. Each time it cuts to it, it sort of gives an overview of sort of where they're at, the contrast of them sitting beside each other. They both just look miserable. It's very funny.
but it's kind of funny to see how these two people who currently fucking despise each other because of the events that just happened, they are so alone in that they only have each other now. They're forced to confront each other, where this is kind of a dramatic point, but it is kind of funny in a way, because they're just bickering like some old couple. So Sawyer quite cleverly points out that the boat that took Walt wasn't made for the ocean. He comes up with this theory, right? That boat, it was way too small, wasn't made for the ocean. At the first swell of water, you're gonna have water getting into the boat, right? It was not made to go further than, what does he say, like 100 meters or something, 100 something.
Yeah.
100 miles.
Yeah, kilometers, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. It's not designed to go further than 100 miles from the mainland. So it had to have come from somewhere nearby, and the only landmass that's nearby is the island. These are the others that Rousseau warned them about. He goes on about, these are them others that the French chick warned us about, whatever he says in his southern drawl.
He's he figures out the season 1 finale twist, basically.
Yeah, which is kind of odd, but we'll get to that later. Michael is offended by this, but all Sawyer says is, "What are you going to do? Splash me?" shock of all shocks, he proceeds to get splashed.
And what a splash it is.
Because it has consequences that neither of them saw. It completely disintegrates the little bit of floating debris that Sawyer's on. And he's just left. It's so comical. Like, he's in the water. The bamboo is just strewn everywhere on the surface. And he's just like trying to grab it together for a moment before realizing it's hopeless. Like, he's not going to fucking lash that together with hair off his back any day soon. Do you know what I mean? So he has no choice but to bunk it with Michael on his little bit. Oh, well. So we go from that into a flashback, and we're in the same room that Michael and Susan had with their lawyers, with their negotiation, but now it's just Michael and Susan. And she's like, hey, how you doing? And he's just staring her daggers, with the context of she's going to steal his child. This is the way he sees it. She is stealing his child. So no, hey, Susan, how you doing? You want to get a coffee? He's like, no. What do you fucking want? Because she's obviously orchestrated this little discussion for them that they can have between each other. She reminds him of how little help to Walt he would actually be as a dad. He's not earning money. He's not working. He's on disability. His passion is art. He's really good at it. Yeah. Give up on the whole dad thing. Go paint a picture.
That's what she's like. Fuck the kid, man. What about the art, man?
Trying to, and I do understand that argument. Like, trying to reignite a passion in him for something else to distract him from the fact that, I don't know, he is losing his only child.
That is a charitable interpretation of it, but yeah, sure. Susan asks him how he's going to do it, and Michael, in 6 words, sums up our philosophy on this podcast. I'll do it by doing it.
Exactly. But she does drive home some home truths here with him that he wouldn't be able to. But his initial reaction is denial. Mm-hmm. He'll do it by doing it,
How are we going to edit an episode in 2 days and get it out on Wednesday?
We'll fucking do it by doing it, man. And we've done it by doing it.
Words to fucking live by, I tell you. That's a tattoo right there.
We cut from that. We're back in the hatch. Kate is wriggling around. She's tied up, and we see that it's not actually rope that's tying her down. It's like cord and shit. Mm-hmm. She's not unraveling that any day fucking soon. Johnny did a good job of tying her to fuck up. He really wanted to show off with how good he could fucking tie this bitch up. He really could hog tie a bitch. But no, it turns out that he stuffed a knife into her pants for her. So that she could cut herself free, which she does. So she sticks on the light of where she is as she's trying to open the door, only to discover that she's in a pantry.
And can I just say that Kate, she begins with the hands behind her back, and she manages to get them around. She's lucky it was only the mid 2000s where big arses weren't in for white women yet.
I'm telling you, because this show it's not wasting a moment. And this is going to sound kind of sexist, but it's the show doing it. This is not just an interpretation. The show is wasting no opportunity to show off Kate's body and her flexibility and, just her moving around and wriggling around on the ground and shit like that. I mean, we had her fucking running around braless and, tank tops and shit like that and getting soaking wet. And we had that one gratuitous shot of Shannon in a bikini in the last season. Like, this show is... it knows what it's doing.
We said it before, we'll say it again. That gaze be male.
Exactly, right?
But yeah, all this fucking food in the pantry. Goddamn. Now that's my kind of male gaze.
Oh. that's now hold on.
That's
actually,
my kind of porn.
Back up a second. Like you say, that gaze be male. I very distinctly remember some gleaming pecs on Sawyer, right?
True. They're throwing the ladies a somewhat literal bone.
Y'all remember them cum gutters, right? Right? But yeah, something for the ladies.
This pantry that she's in looks like the one in The Shining, or the Simpsons parody of it at the very least. Do you know what I mean? Like it's laid out almost identical.
I think that could be a reference.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
it might be a stretch, but it definitely looks like it.
Mm-hmm.
It's filled with all kinds of food and drink. All of it is labeled with the same Dharma swan logo, and she creams her fucking knickers at the taste of an Apollo bar, which has appeared in several TV shows, which I think I pointed out in the last season. Apollo bar, Apollo bars are in so many. It's a totally fictional brand of chocolate bar, but it's in a lot of TV shows. I've spotted it in other TV shows.
Let's Chips is another one. They're in Community and lots of different TV shows, and Community do like a bit about it at one point.
Oh, no way, really?
Let's chips. Yeah, it's very funny.
Oh, what? As like Lay's chips?
Yeah, I guess it's supposed to be a parody of Lay's or whatever. But I mean, who can fault Kate for stopping for an old chocolate bar or five, you know? And this thing looks delicious. It looks like chewy, but chocolatey. Like, yeah, it got me gagging for an Apollo bar.
Yeah, she gets so horny for them. She actually stuffs a few more into her knickers down the back passage before she climbs onto a crate and up into a ventilation shaft, John McClane style.
The good old vent trope. I really hope that I get into a sticky situation sometime where I can only escape through a vent. I love that shit.
I don't know if it's just being from this country. We don't have air vents like that. I feel like they shouldn't be big enough for someone to climb through. And I have seen people climb through them.
Yeah.
They're not quiet. They are not a stealthy way to get around.
No.
It is the loudest, clangiest shit ever. Like, I mean, if you have air ducts like that, even like half that size, if a fucking rat gets in there, holy shit, the entire building knows about it. Yeah. And you've got someone going boom, 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 boom. You know, it like they're walking on their joints, their elbows and knees, trying to get through this. No, there's no stealth around it. I'm sorry. Metal Gear Solid, fuck off. We cut from that. We're down to Johnny Locke and Desmond. John tells Desmond how he and the 43? I think he says
43 odd, yeah.
Yeah, 43 others got to the island flying from Los Angeles to Sydney, and Desmond is surprised that the world is still out there. It's an interesting line he gives. You know, he's very surprised to hear this.
Yeah.
We really get the sense that this conversation is forcing Desmond to reevaluate some beliefs that he has.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like, he's listening to everything John's saying, which is a totally plausible story, and he's like Desmond's a little bit in disbelief about this.
Now, do we think? I'm trying to dance around this. Maybe I should just come out and say it. Like he's surprised that the world is still out there, right? Do we think this is tied to what he said about 44 days earlier? There's because if it is, there's
possibly.
actually there's some timeline inconsistencies then, though. You know what I mean? Like, well, just like if he thought that I don't know why I'm trying not to spoil it. I'm going to continue, even though I'm not really sure why. The thing that happened to him 44 days ago, if he thinks that caused the plane crash, then they would be, but that it also ended the world, then they would be just as oblivious to the world still being out there.
I don't think the show is making any attempt at linking the 44 days thing and this.
You're probably right. Right. This is me overthinking it.
Yeah. But Desmond then asked Locke, how many of those 43 people have gotten sick? Mm-hmm. And John's a bit confused by this question. He just says, no one's gotten sick. Is this why it says quarantine on the inside of the door? But they don't get much further in the conversation before the beeping starts.
Oh, shit.
The world's worst fucking alarm clock.
Now, just quickly, Desmond is down with the sickness, like we said. I guess we are led to believe that this is the same one that Rousseau has been going on about, right?
Yeah, Season 2 hasn't done anything to remind us of that.
No, but you'd be forgiven for linking the two.
Oh, absolutely. And if I had remembered it from Season 1, I 100% would have linked it. These are two mysterious people on this tropical, uncivilized island prior to the survivors arriving, who both reference a sickness.
Yeah, two hermits, no less.
True, actually. Yeah. Two hermits. Like, there's no community here. Just these two totally unrelated individuals, right? If I was John, I'd be wondering, did these two people know each other at all? Although maybe not, because Desmond was literally they had to use dynamite to get down to where Desmond was, right? To find it. Although there could be another entrance or exit of the hatch somewhere else on the island that they just haven't stumbled across yet, right? So
you know what would be a cool theory, even though I'm not sure their ages line up, is that Desmond was part of Rousseau's research team, and that they all sort of got paranoid and thought that the other ones were sick. You know, she did mention
100% would think that. Yeah, he was.
Yeah.
But no, Desmond fully believes that, you know, the rest of the world is supposed to be he's in a quarantine where there's a sickness outside. He believes, you know, that the world is still out there, and he's pushing this button on a computer, typing in the numbers, going about his daily routine, inoculating himself. I don't know. There's something about this. Even going into this blind and not knowing what happens the rest of the season, it doesn't seem like he's doing this of his own free will. He's doing this because he has to.
Yeah, it's a duty.
And I think what really drives that home is the fact that he's wearing like a jumpsuit. He's wearing like a plumber's jumpsuit, like an overall.
He's at work.
Exactly.
Can I just say, like, I fucking love this shit, by the way. I remember the first time watching this conversation, it'll quickly become apparent that the Dharma Initiative is my favorite sort of piece of lore in this entire show. And all these questions that Desmond was raising, I remember the line, like, the world is still out there. I was like, what the fuck is going on with this dude? I love this stuff. This is great setup here.
100%. So the beeping has started. John McClane up in the vents hears it as well. Desmond brings John, because this beeping has started, he holds him at gunpoint, brings him into the computer, and he forces John to enter the numbers, tells him to push the button, and John's hesitant. He's like, what's going to happen if I push it? He basically asks a gun barrel pointing at him. I mean, someone tells me to push a button and they're pointing a fucking AK-47 at me. I'm going to push the damn button. But when he pushes it, it resets the timer on the wall from the 2 minutes and 30 seconds, whatever it is, back to 108.
Before that happens, Desmond asks him if he, does he know how to work the computer? And John Locke is like, I haven't seen one of those in 20 years. Do you feel old now?
It's a nice reference, right? It's a nice reference to how, everything in this bunker hasn't been updated in 20 years.
Yeah.
So it is at that moment, as soon as the beeping is stopped, we can hear Jack in the distance. Desmond has his back up. He's like, who the fuck is this? And Locke says, well, that must be Jack. What's he doing here? And John says, well, I'm just as fucking surprised as you are, mate. Like, I don't know what he's doing here.
Now, having said that, is it me or does John not actually look surprised? He says he is, but as soon as they hear Jack, he's got this look on his face like, okay, yeah, here we go.
I feel like John is overcompensating in terms of trying to stay calm in the face of it.
Yeah, I agree.
I genuinely think that's what it is. But as soon as they start hearing Jack, Desmond frog marches him back into the main area of the bunker, gets his periscope, looks through it. He sees Jack coming. And the events here kind of skip forward a little bit because we saw most of this in the first episode, how, Jack comes in, he explores the tunnel a little bit, finds the computer. He's about to push a button. John warns him not to, and it's revealed that John is held at gunpoint. It's this Desmond dude. Holy shit, we saw all this in the last episode. And Jack recognizes Desmond's face, and he's like, it's you. He remembers him from The Boys, the use of the word brother, and then sees his face.
Can I really quickly back up and just give a little bit of trivia from the last episode that I left out of my trivia section intentionally because I wanted to bring it up now? Desmond hits play on the record, right? Blair's Make Your Own Kind of Music.
Oh, I skipped over that,
Yeah, as we saw in the last episode. And John McCate, in the fucking vent, starts screaming at him. She goes, Jack, Jack, but he can't hear her. If you go back to the first episode, you can very faintly hear Kate screaming when that music comes on.
I could not hear that.
Yeah, to be honest, I didn't hear it either. I just saw it in my trivia and I thought, I'm going to bring it up next episode instead.
Hang on, Dave. You're forcing me to pause this record for a moment while I scroll down to my trivia section and now delete that entry. No. Don't worry about it. This is a collaborative effort, this podcast, and I'm really glad that you had something to contribute.
How's the rest of that trivia section looking?
Pretty good, actually.
Nice.
So we're left at that confrontation where episode 1 ended, and we cut from that back to the ocean.
Another beautiful wide shot of the boys on the water.
I love it. The bickering odd couple spot another bit of floating debris. It's one of the pontoons from the original raft. Definitely a bit sturdier, a little bit more safe and secure than what they're currently on. So they think that's a good thing to go towards. Sawyer just doesn't hesitate, sticks his good arm into the water and starts paddling. Michael warns him against it because he's going to disintegrate the raft. This gives Sawyer a momentary pause for thought before realizing he doesn't give a fuck and keeps going before, well, lo and behold, it disintegrates like cotton candy in water.
Yeah. And we get the Jaws shot here, the underwater,
So yeah, the debris has broken up a little bit, but Michael's still staying put on whatever is left floating. Sawyer is swimming out towards the pontoon, but not before warning Michael, if you see a shark coming, fucking shoot it, and gives him the gun, right? Sawyer fucking boots it. He's heading out towards this pontoon, and we see the very tropey fin in the water, signifying that a shark is coming out. That's some poor set intern with a fucking bit of cardboard on his back, swimming, snorkeling under after him.
Shark boy.
It's fucking hilarious. Michael goes to shoot, and lo and behold, the gun's not firing anything. I'd love to know where he got more bullets for it, but okay, because I thought
I don't think Sawyer dropped them all. No, I think there was a couple that stayed in the chamber.
You reckon? I thought
Yeah.
fucking all of them went.
Nah, I'm pretty sure there was two or three shots go off here, right? So
Well, only one fits in the chamber. You mean several in the magazine?
in the magazine, sorry. I don't really not really into print media.
So yeah, just to manufacture a bit of drama, the gun doesn't go off, it jams. He fucking fiddles around with it before getting it ready, and bam, 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 he actually sets off a few shots and hits something. He actually, fair play to him.
Michael's a good shot.
So yeah, to manufacture a little bit more drama, it's kind of left a bit ambiguous whether Michael had actually shot the shark or Sawyer. And we're left in the dark only for a few seconds before revealing it actually was the shark that got shot because
really? Yeah.
the pair of them make it safely onto the pontoon.
That didn't even occur to me. Maybe because I'd seen it before, but I was like, yeah, he just shot the shark.
No, it leaves it quite ambiguous because Michael then gets over to the pontoon and he's looking around wondering where's Sawyer, because Sawyer's not in the water anymore. But then Sawyer just like bursts out from underneath. He seemed to swim under the pontoon to the other side of it and then climb up there for whatever fucking reason. Because here's the bizarre thing: if there was one shark there, who's to say there isn't another?
True. But now they're brothers again. They're literally on sturdier ground. Like
nothing brings people together like a common crisis, right? So anyway, brings us into a flashback, and we've got it's kind of a little bit of a somber scene, and we can very clearly tell what is happening here the moment it starts off. We've got Michael sitting on a park bench, all on his onesies, and Susan is walking towards him with a small black person, a child, I believe.
This kid does look a lot like Malcolm David Kelly. Like if it was his little brother, I would believe you.
Yeah, but here's the thing, and I'm not being bad towards the kid, but holy shit, the size of that kid's head.
It's huge.
If I had given birth to that kid, the first thing I'd want to do is kill him for the absolute pain and torture he must have put his mother through. That's a C-section baby right there. That is a fucking massive head. But anyway, Susan is walking along with this big head kid towards Michael, literally just to say goodbye to him. Just to say goodbye to Michael. Michael's not fighting it anymore. He's given up the fight. He's letting Susan take him.
This feels like a concession from Susan, even. It's like, all right, like Michael's like, all right, fine, but let me say goodbye to him at least.
Yeah, but here's the thing. What's happening to Michael is it's harsh. It's cruel. But Susan's not being cruel. She's being cruel towards Michael, but what she's doing is in the best interests of the child. I genuinely believe that. And sometimes what is the best thing for the child is not what's best for the parents, right? But the child comes first in this scenario.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I don't feel a lot of animosity towards Susan in this episode. At least. I think maybe there was in the first Michael flashback episode we did criticize her a little bit, but like with what has been established now, she didn't really set a foot wrong in this episode.
Right, and even in the last flashback scene that we saw, where she's actually she's not talking through her lawyers to Michael anymore. She had a conversation with him about it and tried to get him to see it from her point of view, that he is being selfish by wanting to keep the child in close to him in the United States, not letting her take him to Rome with her. She's not trying to be cruel to Michael. It's just the amount of cruelty she's showing towards him is necessary to get what's best for Mike.
And you got to assume that it was Michael who brought lawyers into it in the first place, right? I mean, we don't know that for sure, but
no, I don't think so.
No,
actually, I do think so. Yeah.
Hold on. Because his lawyer, that was his first meeting with his lawyer, presumably, and his lawyer did mention her attorneys. So I guess. Wait, isn't Susan a lawyer herself?
Yes.
I mean, she probably doesn't practice this kind of law, but anyway, we're getting too in the weeds here.
Yeah, but a lawyer who represents themselves has a fool for a client. Like that's that's a common expression. It's the same as doctors. A doctor who treats himself is a fool for a patient, But yeah, and just to show how Susan's not trying to be mean to Michael, yes, she does let him say goodbye to the child, which he does. He gives him a little present, gives him a little stuffed white polar bear.
Ooh, Mike does not know how dangerous that shit could be.
So Susan eventually takes little Walt away, and Michael has a small whinge to himself in the park.
There was part of me though, like Michael is staring teary-eyed after his son leaving, and there's a close-up shot of his face, and there was a small part of me that was expecting him to go, "What?"
But no, as Susan takes Walt away, Michael has a small little cry to himself. We then cut from that back to the ocean, where Michael is having a big cry to himself in the sunrise.
And Sawyer is a classic man here. The weight of the situation has never been more apparent with him. You know what I mean? I feel like the look on his face here is that he finally gets it. And now to stick the landing, all he has to do is put his empathy into words.
Yeah. Like Michael literally has his face in his hands, weeping for the loss of his child, kidnapped, not knowing the fate of his only child, his only family left in the world.
Mm-hmm.
And Sawyer just asks, "Are you all right, man?"
You agree with me though, right? That there is a look. It's just totally Sawyer not knowing what to say, because there is a look of sort of, now that they have this sorted out, that they're not as in as immediate danger as they've been. They have time to settle down. Mike has just broken down crying, and Sawyer, the weight of the situation, he's like, "Damn, this dude's kid was taken.
Yeah,
that's fucked up. I should say something."
It's sunk in with him.
Yeah,
no pun intended.
While they're floating, yeah. And he's like, "I should say something." You all right, Mike?
If it wasn't clear before, it really is now, that the whole point of these flashbacks is to let us know that Michael feels he's now lost his son a second time, that he's so much of a failure. And to really drive that point home, on this pontoon, Michael practically makes a blood oath to get his son back.
Yeah, he concedes the blame game. He says it was my fault.
Right.
I'm gonna fucking get him back.
He's wasted his energy screaming for Walt throughout the night. He's had his sorrow, his loss. He's now moved on to the next stage of grief, which is cold, raw, hard determination. Seemingly, he is getting his son back, and it's at this point Sawyer happens to spot. Oh, would you look at that? The island.
And they're so close to it. Like, how is he only seeing it now? It's fucking huge.
It's right there. I was like, oh, look, the current brought us back. You'd fucking swim to it in 5 minutes.
That would be like me going now, oh, shit, there's a microphone in front of me.
So we cut from that as they start paddling back to the island. They wash up on the beach on the pontoon. Michael and Sawyer, they're tired. They've just spent the whole night awake. They couldn't have gotten more than like an hour's sleep tops. They're making their way up the beach to immediately hear someone yelling, and it's a very distinctive voice. It's Jin. Jin is yelling somewhere. Like, we were wondering, where did this fucker go to? Well, he somehow made it back to the island.
It is funny that we didn't mention him the entire episode. Now that I think about it. Yeah, because they do bring it up. Well, actually, you said that Sawyer was shouting for Jin, but yeah, I guess just because we knew what was going to happen, we failed to mention that. Yeah, Jin is missing.
So I don't know. I'm so strongly reminded of Ace Ventura here. Jin comes running out of the jungle with his hands tied to a piece of bamboo behind his back. And he's like running like, ah, and runs over to Michael and Sawyer. And they're like, what's going on? Like, what's happening? Why are you screaming? And the only word they can get out of Jin that they understand is others. And they're like, oh shit, what? And they look up the beach to see these overly ominously portrayed shadowy figures slowly stalking up the sand dunes, brandishing weapons. Right?
And they look like I don't know if barbaric is the wrong word, but you know what I mean. They're like bedraggled and like
tribal, barbaric, all these kind of tropey words. But that's exactly the look they're going for, because they're literally with like sticks and spears and a stick with nails in it, coming after him like, Dawn of the Dead style shit.
Yeah.
And boom, that's the end of our episode.
Lost. Fuck. Yeah, we did it.
So tell me, Dave, what do you think of that episode as a whole?
I really like this episode. I like this. The stuff in the hatch worked for me. Like Locke's conversation with Desmond was a particular highlight. Just the kind of drip feeding. the comic relief, but also tension of Sawyer and Michael on the water was great. I'll tell you, you saying that the flashbacks were there to imply that Michael has lost his son twice. I like that take. I mean, I think that's obviously what it was meant as. Other than that, I mean, I don't know if this saves it, to be honest. That's a good interpretation of it, but the flashbacks didn't do a lot for me. It didn't really do much more than Michael's previous episode did in establishing like that he cares about his son. Do you know what I mean?
Well, there might be a reason for that that's going to come up in the trivia.
Oh shit. Well, I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah.
What did you think? Any thoughts?
I thought it was a very good episode, but I feel like I'm just repeating that over and over again for every fucking episode of Lost. I love it.
Well, you didn't like the last episode, or you didn't feel particularly good about it.
I did like the last episode. I just didn't think it was very good. Whereas I liked this episode, and thought it was quite good. Really, really good pacing, except for the fact that, rehashing events from the previous episode so much, that kind of annoyed me a little bit.
Yeah.
I have to say.
I mean, at least we got like a bit more info. At least we did see stuff that we didn't see before.
Whereas I wish we had more info on Desmond and the Hatch.
Put it this way, I don't think many people were coming out of the last episode going, "Ooh, but what happened in that time where Jack wasn't there?" Because that's what they filled in basically is between Kate being pulled down, John Locke jumping after her, and Jack arriving. There was a big blank space there, but I don't think anyone expected that to be filled in, and I don't think it was at the top of anyone's list.
I think, especially, having seen the whole episode now, the big mystery coming from this one that we all want answers to is why John took off his shoes. I think that is the real question of the moment now for this. But anyway, that's the end of that episode. What do you think, Dave? You want to hear some trivia?
Let's hit that trivia section.
Cue the music! All right, so what do you think, David? We finally get into some trivia about this episode. Some little nuggets of information and pick out the corn from said nuggets. It's corn! It's got the juice. Anyway, so trivia point number 1. Did you know a Dharma logo can be seen branded on the tail of the shark that attacked Sawyer and Michael?
Dharma shark do 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 Dharma shark do 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 Dharma. Yeah, I saw it this time. Never saw it before, and then read about it, and always look out for it every time I watch this episode now. Yeah, it's awesome.
I mean, I mentioned it earlier on, although we cut this bit out. This is now my 4th rewatching of Lost. Mm-hmm. And I have never, ever, ever, ever seen that Dharma logo on the shark. And then I read about it in the trivia section, went back and looked for it, and I was like, what?
It's once you're looking for it, it's glaringly obvious.
Oh, it's so in your face. I mean, it is a blink and you'll miss it, but it takes up the whole screen. It's black and white, very stark contrasting colors. Mm-hmm. Like, it's so visible.
Yeah.
But if you're not looking for it, you don't see it.
Dharma shark, baby.
So anyway, next point. When Michael is talking to his lawyer, we get a very brief glimpse of the World Trade Center towers.
No way.
Digitally added to show that this scene was, when it was set, pre-2001. Yep.
Never forget.
Now, something you might have noticed, and if you didn't consciously notice it, you unconsciously noticed it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I unconsciously noticed this. The room used for the legal discussion about Walt is the same one where Claire was meeting the people she planned to give her baby to.
Ah, damn, yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. I remember in the Claire episode, there's like a big bookcase behind her. Was that the case here as well?
I believe so.
I'm guessing they angled it differently or whatever in this scene.
Yeah, and that can be a really effective tactic. Filming in the same room, but from a different angle, can make it look like 2 different rooms entirely. Moving on, something we already drew attention to in this episode, Michael buys Walt a present, a white polar bear toy. In the first season, episode 14 special, Walt is attacked by a polar bear. Oopsies.
You think he would have learned a thing or two about handling them from such a young age.
And Walt reads about a white polar bear in a Spanish comic book, don't forget. So, next one. With 23.17 million viewers, this is the second most watched episode in the series.
Ah, shit. Last week's episode was the most watched.
Yeah, obviously it's the hype train. It's the lost hype train that's driving these numbers, right? Not the quality of the fucking episode, because I'm not saying it's a bad episode, but there are so many better ones, right?
Yeah. I'm guessing this will slowly dwindle and then spike again in the finale. The finales usually have a spike, I think.
Yeah, it tends to happen. That tells me that there are people who go not watching the whole series, but then they'll tune in just for the finale. That annoys me on an irrational level.
That was network TV culture back then, channel flicking culture.
Yeah. Next bit of trivia. The aquatic scenes took only 3 nights to film. Fun fact.
Oh.
Related to the aquatic scenes, not a great swimmer, Harold Perrineau had swimming lessons in the hiatus between season 1 and 2 in preparation for his scenes on the water.
Hey, good man.
Yeah. You learned a new skill. Keep going.
How's your swimming?
Not great, but it's not out of like technique or anything. It's just unfitness, like lack of fitness. I would have difficulty swimming one length of a swimming pool. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I used to be able to do, like, at my peak fitness, I used to be able to swim somewhere between like 10 and 15 laps of a pool, like pretty well. Like, I used to be pretty fit, right?
Yeah.
But now one length, nah, I am flabby. I have a body like melted ice cream. I'm an asthmatic who's a serial vapist. Swimming's not, no, it's not in my repertoire. It's not my forte. Anyway, probably the most interesting trivia point I have here related to why you felt maybe like a little bit of a disconnect with the flashback scenes. The flashbacks were originally going to be about Sawyer's Tampa job, which had been referenced in the episode Outlaws in season 1.
I remember that. Yeah, this is the reason why he was pissed off with Robert Patrick's character, right?
Kevin Dunn filmed scenes as Gordy, and Jolene Blalock filmed scenes as Sawyer's partner, but Carlton Cuse felt that their story was not well conceived and shooting was stopped. The flashback scenes were quickly replaced with flashbacks centering on Michael. The Tampa scenes were deleted, and Cuse stated that they will never be released. Dunn later appeared as Gordy in the episode The Long Con.
Okay, well, that doesn't really make me feel any better about the flashbacks. That just means they were a rush job.
Nah.
So it makes sense why they sucked, I guess.
All right. So normally this is the part of the episode where you ask me if I would like to hear some goofs. I'm not going to ask you, Dave, because I definitely want to hear them and I don't give a fuck what you think. So here we go with some mistakes, some general fuck-ups, right? In the previous episode, as the second verse of Make Your Own Kind of Music is playing, you can briefly hear Kate shout to Jack, right?
Mm-hmm.
In this episode, she is shouting as the chorus of the song plays. Fuck up.
Literally unwatchable.
Anyway, next goof. While adrift on the sea, Sawyer tells Michael that Rousseau and the others were coming for the kid, connecting this to their capture of Walt. However, Rousseau did not reveal that she had heard whispers about the others coming for the boy until she had kidnapped Aaron and taken him to the source of the black smoke, after the raft had set sail already.
Damn. Do you know what? That did occur to me. I kind of remember her saying it to Charlie and Sawyer, like at nighttime.
Yeah, the only 2 people she said were Saeed and Charlie.
This is similar to how you described the scene in the lawyer's office earlier. Like, I didn't realize it, but I outright, but it occurred to me. How did you phrase it?
It subconsciously clicked in your brain, right?
That was definitely a subconscious one. Something felt off about that.
Yeah, you just didn't quite know what it was, right? It's kind of like looking at a nude photo of a woman from the neck down, and it's your mother. Something's not right about it, but you're not quite sure what.
And you've already wanked to it twice.
Hey, listen, 14 was a weird year. full of hormones, right? And your mother, when I was that age, man, like,
And 15, as we've established, was a very uneventful year. So you had to get something in there.
exactly, you know? During Michael's deposition, there is a video camera set up to record the people in the room. In a real deposition, and I know this from binge watching Suits, in a real deposition, the camera would be set up to only record Michael.
Yeah, that makes sense. I remember, like, that's like all the making a murderer shit and stuff like that, right? They always just have this disembodied voice asking questions.
Exactly, right? And then finally, my favorite goof. When the tailies come out of the jungle, 5 figures are seen, and we later learn that these characters' names are Cindy, Echo, Libby, Anna, and a 5th tailie that, in the opening to the episode orientation, is clearly not Bernard. The extra tailie disappears between the beach and the prison pit and is never mentioned to have existed.
Oh, damn.
So this falls squarely under the camp of they were making it up as they went along.
But wait. So this one, we eventually learned that Bernard was one of the people who goes out onto the beach. Is that right?
Yes, but it very clearly is not actually Bernard because this actor has a mustache.
Okay, so this is the second instance of them like having to retcon Bernard into something because he is allegedly the voice that Boone communicates with on the little plane, right? But they used someone else because they hadn't cast him yet.
Yes.
Damn.
Now, there is another trivia point. Granted, it should have gone before the Goops, but I didn't want to give it. But now I'm thinking I really should reveal this trivia point. I didn't want to give it simply because, well, you'll see why now in a moment. It's not a spoiler. Well, it kind of is a spoiler, but nothing I haven't already spoiled anyway. These survivors at the end have character names, but they are not played by the same actors who would play those characters later, with the exception of one of them. And that is the character of Mr. Echo. And it is that actor's first on-screen appearance in Lost. The reason I did not want to give this trivia point is because there isn't a fucking hope of me being able to pronounce this actor's name.
Yeah, I was gonna say we're gonna have to get ahead of that and practice that when he becomes a regular.
I know this actor. I've seen him spend more screen time being Mr. Echo in Lost, but to me, he will always be Loch Na from the movie The Mummy Returns.
The Mummy Returns, yeah.
Always, right? So the actor's name is Adewale Akinuye Akbaje.
I would guess it's Adewale.
Adewale. Oh fuck, that
Adewale.
actually makes so much sense. What did I say? Adewale?
Adewale, yeah, but Adewale is a more Nigerian pronunciation, I think.
Oh
Adewale.
fuck, yeah, actually. Even though he's
Akinoye Agbaje.
Yeah. Well, I apologize. There are some phonetics in that name I am not familiar with, so
yeah,
please forgive me.
This is the content that nobody wants to fucking Irish lads trying to pronounce Nigerian names.
Is it a Nigerian name?
Oh, I was just about to say, do we know for sure he's Nigerian? The character is. I mean, this good dude's English, but yeah, he's got Nigerian parents from the Yoruba region.
Yeah, perfect.
No, the Yoruba ethnic group. My apologies.
Yeah, West African ethnic group, mainly inhabits parts of Nigeria, Benin, and Togo. Yeah, that's the funny thing about ethnic groups. They tend not to really obey country borders.
Mm-hmm. That's why splitting up Africa into many different nations was not as easy as,
No.
European colonists wanted it to be. But hey, that's a fucking conversation for another time if I ever heard one.
Yes, I would like to actually finish the sentence I'd started. Ethnic groups tend not to obey country borders, and nor fucking should they,
Yeah, 100%.
It was their land first, okay?
100%.
So anyway, that brings us to the end of the Goofs, the trivia, the episode. We are at the end of today's episode of Lost the Plot. So Dave, what do you think? What is your theory this week?
My theory this week is that Locke took off his shoes in an attempt to disarm whatever the fuck was down there with the fucking honk of his feet.
Those feet were fucking humming at this stage. Well, you heard it here first, folks. Catch us online on all the social medias at Lost the Plot Lads. TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, wherever the fuck you can find us whoring ourselves out. If you have any suggestions, criticisms, corrections, or questions, send them into losttheplotlads@gmail.com. And remember, you haven't lost anything till you've lost the plot. Good night.
Good night.
Lost the Plot is produced by Dave and I. Artwork by Jimmy Purcell of BeanBetterComic.com. Music by Noel Brennan of No Exit. Check out No Exit wherever you stream your music. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram at LostThePlotLads or email us at losttheplotlads@gmail.com.